Hey guys, my name's Mick. Just want to make a video today about how to compress your own vocals in your own mixdown. So if you're at home, especially during quarantine and you're making music and you want to make your vocals sound better, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what you can do to really make them pop, to make them sound more professional. First, I'm going to take a second to explain what compression does, and then we'll jump right into it. I'll give you guys a few examples of what I'm doing on my screen here. We have this vocal cut here.
Just want to hold you now.
With compression, what you're doing to any sound is you're taking the loudest peaks and attenuating them, bringing them down, and the quietest parts of the sample and bringing them up. So the softer sounds become more audible and the louder sounds become a little quieter. And so by doing this, you're basically kind of mushing the sound. That's not a great word. You're kind of squeezing the sound into, let's say, a smaller waveform so that then you can turn it all up together and actually have your vocal sound louder and clearer in your mix. Obviously, there is such a thing as too much. Let's dive right in and I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, so here we have a vocal that I just played for you guys.
I just want to hold you now.
And we can see that the peaks here
I just
are hitting just below 0 dB, and some of the quieter sections
want to hold you.
are dipping to around -7, right? So that's the dynamic range of our sample. If we can get that dynamic range a little bit smaller, then we can boost the signal as a whole. So this is the fruity limiter. There's a compressor in here, and it actually does an excellent job of showing you what's happening. Sorry if my voice sounds a little weird. I just got a cold yesterday, obviously the day before I planned on recording this video, so it's just life. So anyways, if we play the sound and have our compressor on, there we go. So if we reset all these settings so the compressor's not active, this is what our signal looks like.
I just want to hold you now.
Now we're going to take the threshold of our sound with the fruity compressor here. You can see this blue line. That's going to show you when the compressor is going to actually engage. So when the audio signal crosses that threshold in loudness, it tells the compressor to start working and compressing your sound. So basically, the further down or the lower your threshold, the sooner your compressor is going to kick in. It'll flatten your sound more. You'll lose more dynamic range. That also depends on how much ratio you have set. So that's your threshold. This is basically going to turn your compressor on and off. It's going to determine how much compression you might apply based on your ratio. And so your ratio is actually the amount of compression that will be applied at your determined threshold. You can select your threshold here, but if your ratio is at 1:1, you're absolutely not compressing anything. As soon as you turn up that ratio, you're going to start compressing your sound. Another important part of the compressor is the attack and release function. So your attack, think of it like a knight attacking with a sword. If he's really fast at attacking, imagine that compressor is the sword. The compressor is going to strike really quickly. It's going to start working, compressing right away. Set at 0 milliseconds, that means it's attacking right away. If you have a slow attack time, it means that the audio signal is going to remain dry. There's going to be no compression for, let's see, up in the top corner here, it'll tell us, for exactly 13.67 milliseconds, and then the compressor is going to kick in. So why would you want that? For drums, if you have a transient, like a snare hit, you want that hit to come through, but the back end of that drum to get compressed. That's what you're going to use it for. For vocals, I generally like to set pretty fast attack time, and then your release is how long the compressor is going to work for. So you have, again, in the top left corner here, how many milliseconds the compressor is going to stay active for. Between your threshold, ratio, attack, and release, you can really shape how the compressor is going to work on your sound. Let's have a listen.
Cause I just want to hold you.
Now I'm going to start turning up the ratio.
I just want to hold you now. Cause I just want to.
And we can see our compressor is working. It's taking those peaks and bringing them down. And you can see that in the visualizer here, exactly how much compression is occurring, how much we're squishing our audio, right? So you can hear that the track has actually gotten quieter since we've compressed it. So that's why we have this gain knob here. So we can bring that gain back to the same level it was at before. Now, the vocal, after it's been compressed, when you bring it back to the gain that it was at originally, it's going to sound louder because, like I said, all the quiet stuff is going to become more prominent, and all the really loud stuff that's causing your vocal to peak is going to be pushed down a little bit so that your vocal is clearer and crisper in your mix. And it's especially good if you're doing this at home and you're recording like in your bathroom or something, and you have a lot of dynamic range in your vocal sample. So you have really loud peaks and really low lows. Compression will definitely help your vocal sound more natural and more even though you're removing some dynamic range. Like those really breathy kind of female vocals you hear in pop music that sound really loud even though she's almost whispering, that's a sign of heavy compression. And it can definitely sound good when applied in the right setting. I'm going to show you how this kind of sounds in a track that I've been working on. I'll play it for you here.
I saw you from across the room. If looks could kill, I'd die for you.
Here's the vocal on its own.
I I saw you from across the room.
Of course, I have a few effects on there. I'll go into here and I'll show you guys exactly what I have. So I'm using the Waves V compressor on this voice. So you can see I'm using a 6:1 ratio, which is pretty heavily compressed, the sound. I've attenuated it a little bit. I've lowered the output gain just to taste in this track, and I've set the release to auto, which it actually takes the tempo of your track and it sets your release to match the tempo of your track. So if I turn this off,
oh, and you know just what you do, you're so casually cool. I saw you from across the room. If looks could kill, I'd die for you.
and now without the effects and the compression,
I saw you from across the room.
with compression and effects,
I saw you from across the room.
as a whole, what that sounds like.
I saw you from across the room. If looks could kill, I'd die for you.
Now I'm gonna turn off the compressor.
Oh, and you know just what you do, you're so casually cool.
And back on.
I saw you from across the room. If looks could kill, I'd die for you.
In your own tracks, when you are using a compressor, compress using an oscilloscope so you can see what you're doing, and then bring up the volume of your vocal. So I hope that helps you guys out. If you have any ideas for any future tutorials that you'd like to see from me, leave a comment below. And also, if you are looking for new tutorials, just want to learn something new and how to mix and master in your own, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll be making a video for you guys soon.